If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-Pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today.
Boasting a short but diverse history of races and racing series, Japan's Okayama International Circuit roared into relevance in the 1990s, even hosting multiple Formula One Grand Prix. While Okayama no longer sees series like Formula One, the circuit has remained relatively unchanged and still hosts club and regional level racing and drift events, and is no less loved by racing and sim racing fans alike, as Okayama has long been included as base content on iRacing.com. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Okayama International Circuit. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Zach Murdos alongside as per usual. That's the way we like to have it here at Pit Stop TV. Zach, glad you're back as we roll into week number 3 this evening at Okayama International Circuit. Such a fun place to go racing. There's a lot we could say about this place just based on the B-roll alone. Taking a look across each of the different 11, 12 corners. I think it's 11 corners here at Okayama, and we're going to get into all of them, wait for it, as we roll into the sim this evening. Take a look here at the virtual Okayama International Circuit. It's kind of a mid-level as far as length circuit. It's not too short, not too long, but it does feel very compacted on top of itself as you take a look here at the track map. That's not the right track map. ATVO has let me down. Well, give me one moment to improvise. Regardless, Zach, if you have any kind of imprint on your mental mind of exactly how this place looks, it is very much compressed on top of itself, and it is a lot of fun to drive in a litany of cars. The Mustang feels like it's the least suited for this kind of track, but it's still a ton of fun.
Absolutely. It's just, overall, it's a very user-friendly track, which would make sense since it is base content here on the iRacing Sim. It's very easy to get used to, and there we have our correct track map going into first corner and Williams and into the Moss S before hitting the Atwood curve. It's such a traverse layout, really, because the elevation does change a little bit. Then you go all the way down that long straightaway into the hairpin. Getting into that last section of the track, it's just so technical, and you have to be very what's the word I'm looking for? Calculated with how you are driving the car and how you want to handle these last couple of corners. And, you know, I'm always excited when I come to Okayama. Whatever car I'm in, I absolutely love this track. Even though it doesn't see major use, like you said, when it comes to things like Formula One and whatnot, it still is one great track to use for things like Miatas, the Mustangs, 2 cars that we're using here tonight. So I'm happy to see what's gonna transpire tonight here on the racetrack.
Absolutely, very much looking forward to racing around this place, and it just feels like that whole complex, really the first sector is really fun, really flowing, 1, 2, 3, 4, even to turn 5 the hairpin, but then everything, it just feels like it's boxed in, almost like there should be a cut through from 5 straight to 10, from the hairpin straight to Mike Knight corner. That feels almost more natural, but with the way the land is built here at Okayama, that would never be possible. This is the layout we've got, and it's just so much fun. It doesn't matter what car it is, but especially these production style cars are that much more fun at a place like this. I couldn't imagine Formula One cars here. I really couldn't. It just doesn't seem like it would fit their forte in any way, shape, or form. So I'm glad we've got production cars here this evening. Take a look at your qualifying lineup, at least as they stand currently. Philip Bauman currently, well, he's one of the only Mustangs on the racetrack, but he is 6th quick of the bunch, as all of our leading Mustangs have already run their laps. Guys like Benjamin Roberts, Kevin Parrish, Scott Banks, David Moore, and others. So as qualifying wraps up, these last few drivers trying to find a little bit of speed. Here's Andrew Perkins down in the Toyotas. He's looking to go higher than 2nd place. That lap will not do it. He will stay 2nd in his class. That is 14th overall. Michael Folds, though, has some competition down in the Mazdas. He is just 3/10 ahead of Trevor Roy by qualifying. So we'll have to watch the Mazda class and see if they've got any fun for us this evening here at Okayama. We do have a couple of Renault Clios here this evening, but they aren't making much noise as Marco Silveira is back in the 18th spot overall in qualifying, and Andre Williams has qualified 32nd so far out of 34 cars in total. Qualifying wraps up. Zach, let's briefly talk about our point standings as we take a look here at the Mustang and Clio points. And we mentioned last week, and this will be important to keep up with, these are not time slot specific standings. These are for the whole series. So while yes, we are here for this weekly time slot on Monday evenings at the 9:30 Eastern time slot, the second race of the week, there are countless races. Not countless, I guess there is a number. I don't have that number in front of me. I guess it'd be 24 times 7 since it's an hourly series. Zach, if you want to do the math, be my guest, but somewhere to the tune of 200 or so races throughout the week that these guys can run and try to get points in, and if you run multiples, it takes your average thereof. If you run so many races, 5 or 6 or whatever, it takes your average of your best 3 or 4, I think, to get your weekly total of points for the week. So once that's all put together across all regions and all divisions, we have Kevin Parrish as your points leader, Scott Banks in second, 12 points back, then Benjamin Roberts, Keith Nelson a little further back in third and fourth in the Mustangs. Down in the Renaults, Jack Johns far and away the top dog in that front-wheel drive machine. As far as Toyotas and Mazdas rather, I feel like it's a lot closer together. We have a very much more open championship picture on both of these classes, Zach, as we take a look at our second page of point standings, even though we are only 2 rounds in.
Yeah, not to mention we have a lot more diversity when it comes to the license class when it's for the drivers. This is, I believe this is this is a D-Class series.
Yeah.
So anyone with a D-Class road license, 1.0 and up, is able to compete in this series. So you've got guys from A-Class, B-Class, C-Class, up here in the top 5 within the points, but you see nobody in the D-Class, which is unfortunate. But it's just nice to see the diversity that these guys have when it comes to this series and the ability to just compete regardless of what class you are.
And technically we could get some rookies in here. Rookie 4.0 and up would count to get them into these races. We're going to quickly let the grid go by on the bottom of the screen, but you see Benjamin Roberts is qualified on pole, and Kevin Parrish will start from second. This will go by their not their average, but their overall qualifying times, so they will just tick by there on the bottom of your screen. But we are ready to go racing. The first lap, we're going to leave the grid up, spot your favorite driver out there in the field as we get ready to go racing this evening from Okayama International Circuit. Let's take a quick check of weather conditions before the pace car completely leaves us to it. Well, it's already happening, but 81, 82 degrees in the air. It's a hot day here in Japan, 100 degrees on track. Let's go racing. 45 minutes begins now. And our leaders, the Mustangs and the Clios, both into turn 1 nice and cleanly. 3-4 wide from the Toyotas down into turn number 1. But the Mazdas are all single file as they rocket down the front stretch. There we go. Now they're racing. A couple of blocks being thrown in the Mazdas. I don't know why I keep calling them Mustangs, but our Mustangs are through the S for the first time.
We definitely had a few blocks going on within the Mustang group, but it seems like everybody's getting single filed out now, going through turn 4, coming down the back straightaway. Look at this over the hill shot. These cars coming right over the hill. Oh, if there was a camera there at the real track, you'd get run over by now as you got one car.
There it is.
Yep, there goes.
Everybody headed down to the hairpin for the first time today, and 34 cars taking the start of this race as our Renaults are racing. We've got the first Renault racing. We can't miss this on lap 1. Our first good Renault racing we've seen all season as Marco Silveira is going to hang on over Andre Willems for now. That might not last as Willems qualified way back in the field, but of course started with his other class driver, which is the class leader, Marco Silveira. Most of lap 1 complete, some battling just ahead of these guys, and crashing as Nathan Hooper goes around in that Mustang. He gets turned in Redmond for the first time, and he will get back going. That is a problem for Nathan Hooper.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like too much damage on that Mustang. He might be able to continue, as I think he just looped it again.
Almost. No, he just hung on to it. Up front, leaders completing lap number 1. It's only a 25-minute race as evidenced here by our Whiplash SimCam's race details. 25-minute race. You see the 4 cars listed that are in this race. Open setup, 1 faster pair. Pretty well cut and dry. As you mentioned, a D-Class series. So you get that faster pair. No cautions or anything since it's road racing. Really cut and dry. Simple format for these guys. And it works so well as your leaders rocket down to the Atwood curve here through Japan.
Yeah, this is some clean racing right now. These guys are all just trying to find their groove right now. The opening minutes of the race, when These tires are getting all up to temperature. Everybody's starting to feel out the track, and now they're going to start seeing what they can do with these Mustangs. And just look at how close they are coming down the back straightaway. Getting a little bit of draft going into the hairpin, late on the brakes, down the hill just a little bit, and look at how close they get to the bumpers.
Very, very close there through the hairpin. Into Revolver, and interestingly named turn number 6, but I think it works pretty nicely because if you end up going too wide there, you spin around like a revolver, and you do not want to do that. It doesn't generally help your finishing position in racing. Definitely have to mention Dustin Slider in this top 5. He's back here in the 5th position. We are missing a couple of drivers through the field. Austin Knight isn't here on the Renaults. I do think we have our usual suspects as far as the Mustangs, as we saw at Suzuka last week, Roberts, Parrish, and Banks. But there are a few drivers we've seen the last couple of weeks that didn't make the trip out here to Okayama, at least for this time slot here in week number 3. And here we go, lap 2 going to wrap up that quickly. Sounds like some are saying out in the chat, the Mustang comes in around lap 4. We're quickly getting to that 4th lap. It looks like we're expecting 15 today in this 25-minute affair.
I believe we're on, what is it now, lap 3, so it should be coming in the next lap.
That it will, as David Fench and Eric Schuloff have trouble back here. That's going to allow William Barnett to go on by in the Mustangs, as we've got more problems. Andre Willems in the Renault, he's getting passed up by a bunch, and Nathan Hooper comes down to the pit lane. Big time problems for that number 34 car. He's got a lot of damage. Worth mentioning, our Toyotas are fighting really, really nicely. Here you go, Tyler Agostino, Nicholas Sudik racing once again. Sudik has been a lot of fun to watch, and he's making a pass here at turn number 4.
Yeah, it's a very late lunge. They almost make contact there coming up off the corner. They've got the Renault right there trying to make do with what they have, and they are still bumper to bumper coming down into the hairpin on the bumper. Agostino right behind Sudik, and is they going to make a move, or are they just going to bump draft?
Bump drafting for this long straightaway, but now staggered into turn 5, and Agostino drops back in line. 3rd place, just behind these guys, Andrew Perkins, Tom Storr. They're in line, running through the hairpin. Really fun corner. I can't think of many corners in motorsport that are as fun as turn number 5 here in Okayama. It's just so satisfying when you get it right. Of course, it also presents that great passing opportunity. Not many takers that time around as far as trying to make a pass, but we'll see that come in as these laps go on.
Yeah, and these Mustangs up front, this is where they're going to start to come in on to lap number 4, on board with Banks, trying to catch Parrish right up there in front of him. You can see him closing up just a little bit down the straightaway, but it looks like the patience is going to take over, and he's not really going to try to make any moves right now. These guys are all just seeing what they can do at the moment. This is where the cars start coming in, and hopefully the racing starts heating up.
Sounds like Larry Love not feeling well, but glad he's out in the chat this evening. Hopefully we see him next week as we go to Silverstone. We'll talk more about that here shortly. Love this shot headed down to turn number 4. There aren't many views quite as nice as that here at Okayama. Again, this is just such a cool track, and it recently got a few graphical updates as well on iRacing. I think a more in-depth refresh is on the way at some point. It didn't do a whole lot to this track, but it still looks really, really nice as these guys come around. Lap number 4, end of the hairpin. We're seeing those tires come up to temperature. We're seeing these guys get more of a feel for who they're racing around and how they have to race around each other, especially at this racetrack. And this Mustang, again, it just feels so big in a place like Okayama. It feels like it's going to push all the way through this almost infield feeling section. It's the most awkward car, I feel like, for this track, but that makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. These cars, they're one of the few cars on the iRacing sim that I genuinely think have some of the best racing. And it's very apparent right now. Kevin Parrish and Scott Banks fighting very hard for that 2nd place position in the Mustangs overall and in class. And there are just a few other races going on throughout the middle of the pack. You see one going on right here. And look at that. My goodness, Andrew. Don't you just love to see these passes?
That I do, and Barnett racing here with Fench just behind. We've seen Fench a lot this season in that signature Motorcraft number 18. There we go. Said 13 twice, but the number 18 this evening by iRating. Finch certainly having some fun. We've got a battle further back. Look at this situation. A Renault racing with a Mazda as they head through Mike White corner into turn 11, and that Mazda turned in. That's Tom Sanders in the number 8, turned right into Andre Willems. That's going to present a passing opportunity, racing for second in the Miatas. Sanders was that number 8 car that made contact with the Renault. Here we go down to turn number 1. Trevor Roy is trying to make the pass to the inside, and he will back out very wisely. Roy definitely playing things calmly here. It's still early in this race. Had a great opportunity, but you can't spoil it here on lap 5 if you want to win on lap 15.
Yeah, Trevor Roy being absolutely smart there, being patient. It looks like he's going to get right on the back bumper. Might make a move going down into the hairpin. Takes it a little wide. Nope, he's just going to stay in line. Stay there, be a little patient with it, and Sanders is going to try to see if he can get by the Renault once again as they are side by side coming up the hill down the back straightaway.
Trevor Roy trying to draft off that number 8 car. Michael Folds, the class leader, long gone. These guys, they're racing for second and third in class, and the Renault is just kind of a thorn in their sides right now. Sometimes it helps them, sometimes it doesn't. I guess a thorn in your side would never really help you, but regardless, as they run through turn number 5 here, the 8 car finally getting clear. Roy is still trying to fight his way by. That is Andre Willems in the number 32 Renault Clio. He's got a right to fight, but in his position, I would lay back. You're already way off of your class leader as, David Pajud around in Revolver. As I said earlier, Zach, if you go a little bit offline, Revolver suddenly becomes a pretty apt name for that corner. I do want to mention Dustin Slider back here in the 32nd position has clearly had some trouble.
Yeah, we saw him up there in the top 5 with the Mustangs, top 5 overall and in class, and not too sure what happened.
Neither am I. That's why we're taking a replay here to take a look at it. He was in the pit lane for over a minute. In fact, we can bring that up here. The pit timer, if we get the driver ID logo out of the way. There we go, 82 seconds in the pit lane, 77 in total. That tells me he towed to the pit lane and grabbed a fast repair. Let's see if we can find what happened here to the number 27 car. A big part, of course, as to why we broadcast these Monday 9:30 slots. What happened to Slider?
Oh, the engine blew up.
A money shift. That's not good.
That is unfortunate. I do recall hearing an engine blowing somewhere within the iRacing sim. I just did not know who it was.
Listen here. From second to third. Didn't quite get first. Got first, didn't quite get third. Oh, man. Things you hate to see.
I wonder if he made it back around or he had to tow.
Oh, the uphill at turn 9? There's no way. There's no way you come up Piper and have enough speed to get back around. At least I don't think so. Maybe. I'm not sure. But our Toyota field now going around our Renault leader. That is Marco Silveira. He has no real concern right now in class. He's kind of just trying to work through this race and take the iRating and safety rating gain out of really the safety rating, I'd have to imagine, which is an interesting aspect we don't talk much about. We talk about these crazy battles with the Mustangs and whatnot, Zach, as you can see Benjamin Roberts powering away to what could be another broadcast time slot win. But going back to that safety rating point, that's something we kind of forget a lot. These guys race for safety rating and iRating in this series, and this could be a great way to do it. Run the Clio, kind of do your own thing, get some safety rating out of it.
Absolutely. It's just an easy way, really, to try and mitigate any potential losses when it comes to iRating or safety rating. I'm not sure how the iRating gain works for multi-class racing, but I do know that the safety rating at least will be a very substantial gain. And, you know, these guys just... sometimes it's hard to find a series, at least a road series that you can run where it's easy to gain safety rating, but hopefully they'll be able to get something out of this. We see a lot of fights on track. One move going into the hairpin. A little late on the brakes, but no dice there.
Yeah, that was Finch on the inside of Gwynn, at least looking, but not finding anything as Andre Willems has had a problem. Oh that goodness. Renault has fallen apart, and I'd have to imagine he had some help.
Yeah, there's a few instances going on, and
oh, this is going to be fun.
Definitely making it interesting.
This is going to be fun. Watch this. Andre Willems. Again, this is where For self-preservation, if nothing else, I would have let these Mazdas go by. He ran off track, that's a 1X. He's going to have some contact from behind here when he turns in across the nose of that Mazda. That's a 2, make it, well.
He held on to it. Oh, he just went straight.
I think, excuse me, I think that'll stay a 2X, but regardless, now you're out of the race. I'm not sure about that situation.
Be a 4X for the Mazda. Not too sure about that one.
Some good racing back here in the Toyotas. Andrew Perkins leading Tom Story and Christopher Decker for the battle for third. Our top 2 have gotten away in the Toyota GR86 Cup class, and they, you know, the Renault, because of speed on single lap average or single lap times, is listed as the second class. However, I really feel like this Toyota has come into its own on iRacing and become the second class in Production Car Challenge. It is so much fun to watch, so much fun to drive, really a rewarding car in every aspect, I feel like, and it's got a good bit of grip. It is just such a cool little sports car, and maybe that's why Toyota, of course, has the GR86 Cup Series that goes along with it. I want to give a quick nod to my buddy Kyle Heyer, who has recently been brought in to commentate over that series with SRO alongside DJ Clark. Those guys did a great job at Sebring this past weekend, and here we go. Side-by-side battle into turn number 5. Storr making the move there on Perkins. Now Perkins on his back foot trying to get that spot back. That is ballsy! Wow!
Attacked. Off the track they go, and that is going to be 2 spots given up right there. As the Mazda slides in line, that is the type of racing we like to see.
Well, yes and no. There was definitely some contact. I definitely would not be happy if I was Tom Storr, because now he's back here behind this Mazda of Michael Folds, but boy, was that a lot of fun to watch. That was certainly a situation there in the Revolver. That is becoming a very aptly named corner in this race, and, you know, this series gets kind of a bad rap. Of being nothing but chaos. But what we've seen, Zach, is moments of chaos with moments of really, really fun and exciting racing. That is another one of those moments. As you take a look here at Philip Bauman, and it looks like William Barnett racing for the 7th and 8th positions up in our leading class, up in the Mustangs. But if we fall back to Michael Folds, this is going to be an interesting little fight to watch. He's got plenty of time back to second place, but this is what we see from him often. That Team Zeem's number 2 car, 3 car, whatever it ends up being by iRating, that Dale, I guess, would it be Dale Earnhardt or would it be Kevin Harvick lookalike? I guess Kevin Harvick lookalike really tends to fly through this Toyota field as the race goes on. He's doing exactly that today. Now, looking at 3rd place in Toyota competition.
Yeah, he's been able to fly through. He's still got 8 seconds all the way back to, I believe it's Sanders in the 2nd place position. So he's definitely made quite a bit of time compared to the rest of the Mazda field.
Ooh.
Looking to try and see if he can pass another Toyota here, as looking to pass Sanders, or excuse me, looking to pass
Perkins.
Perkins, thank you. I'm just confusing everybody's names today. With about 9.5 minutes left to go, and he's definitely made up a lot of great time, and I am going to concur with you. That does look like a Kevin Harvick paint scheme.
Oh!
Contact!
The blinking here is getting pretty hairy, and again, this would be a situation, if I'm behind the wheel of that number 2 car, I'm gonna back out of this. You might ruin these guys' race by 1 or 2 more blinks. For a moment, the sim thought the wing fell off of that 21 car, and if that had happened, if that damage had remained, imagine, Zach, what kind of an issue that would be. A differently classed car racing up here wheel to wheel with the Toyotas made contact. If that wing had really fallen off, it would not have been a pretty situation, as Folds now is going to make a move here on the 3rd place Toyota. And it's certainly in Perkins' best interest to let him go, and he does.
Yeah, and Folds has nose damage on that Mazda, as there's another battle going on. That is the 11 of Decker sliding through past Tom Storr.
Well, Storr was trying to make the pass. Couldn't quite get it done there in turn 1. Going to try again here in turn 4, but I think...
Ooh, fake out.
I'm surprised he went to the inside there, but I think he's really setting up for a move down the backstretch and into turn 1. That is that he's leaving the door open here to Justin Louderback. These Toyotas are a lot of fun to watch, and they are the only ones being fun to watch. Here we go, Graham Brunwyn and Arthur Broen. These guys back here last in class, the last couple of cars in line. They're fun to watch. As here we go, Tom Storr blocking over Justin Louderback into turn 5. That's what I'm talking about. He opened the door as soon as he made that move in turn 4. He compromised his entry. It gave this other car, Louderback, an opportunity, and now they're racing side by side through Revolver into Redmond here, and they're slowing themselves down, and there goes Christopher Decker, wave bye-bye. You get racing like that side by side through 6 and 7, and you've really compromised yourself.
Yeah, as we got another move right here. Louderback is trying to take that spot away from Storr, and I think he just might. No, they are still side by side. This is difficult. When you get side by side in these technical sections, it really slows the car down. You have to use a lot more brake, get the car to rotate more because you can't run your normal line. And they're still side by side off into the grass as Louderback. Storr takes that position back, and it looks like they're going to try to race it down in turn 1, blocking down the front stretch.
Big block there from Tom Storr. Still side by side. Down to turn 1 this time. The Acetec, number 17 on the outside. Or is it Acetec? I'm not sure. Regardless, around the outside of turn 1. Beautiful shot there. That was a great move. Great positioning out of the number 17 car as he tries to take that spot away. Might just have it as there's a bit of a bump out of turn number 2. But now 3 and 4. Nice little opportunity here through the S's to get maybe some positioning on the 17 and challenge it to turn 4 if you're Tom Storr. But he's got to worry about Vanderloon from behind.
Yeah, Louderback sending a little deeper into the corner to try and hold on to the position. Now he's going to lose ground as Tom Storr is back on the inside. They're side by side, 2 rows deep.
Problems, Kevin Parrish, trouble in Piper. He's gone around. That is our points leader in Mustangs.
Looks like he'll keep it rolling.
Check this out. Kevin Parrish on corner exit. Oh,
he got around by himself.
I can't tell you how many times I did that in testing. I specifically brought the street stock here to test laps because I felt like it was going to be close to the Mustang without being the Mustang. A little bit slower for sure. Certainly not at all as well equipped to run on a road course, but it was just so much fun to slide. But I found myself doing that a lot on the exit of turn 9, specifically because the track really throws you out to the outside of the corner there. So you try to crank wheel into it to try and get it to turn, just bite around the corner, and it doesn't want to. Eventually, you finally find yourself on corner exit. You've cranked so much wheel into it, though, that the car just keeps turning around. Even when you straighten the wheel back out, all your weight is shifted over onto your left rear, and the car just swings you around. As here's a Mustang going by a couple of Toyotas side by side. That's Tyler Gwynn trying to pass those guys, and he will do so by turn 1.
Got quite a considerable margin as they're still side by side right behind him. And here we got another fight going on. Michael Folds still in front of these 2 Toyotas, and Decker is still trying to find a way around Perkins as they go into the hairpin corner. Still single file. They are still on the back bumper of Michael Folds, so it might be that Mazda is finally just wearing down a little bit too much. Could be that nose damage, could just be the setups, and it looks like they are right on his bumper looking to make a move.
This just might be our battle of the week. Perkins and Decker. Yeah, Perkins looking on the inside of Folds. Decker wisely stays out to the outside to let himself kind of late break and get a run here on corner exit. And there you go. Folds backs out. He recognized the situation. That was very smart from the number 2 car. Back out of it, let these guys fight for their 3rd and 4th, and just kind of play nicely as 2nd and 3rd down in the Mazdas is really having some fun. Sanders and Roy back at it as they fire through turns 5 and 6, now down to turn 7, the left-hander. Really fast piece of racetrack if you carry speed just enough, and then you get down to these slow corners, back-to-back hairpins.
Yeah, it's so nice to see how these Mazdas, especially, in my opinion, handle these technical corners. They're such a fun car to drive. As it looks like the 13 right there has a little bit of nose damage, but Trevor Roy is still going to keep on going and still keep it on trucking, trying to catch Sanders and be able to take that 2nd spot away. And like I said, Andrew, these cars are just so fun to watch. They're really fun to drive, and they've got so much give, really. You can sling those things around, and they just do whatever you want them to.
More battling in the Toyotas, but we cannot leave our Mustang friends out high and dry tonight. They've just had more of a separated race as Benjamin Roberts checks up big time out of turn number 7. I think he might have been giving some time back maybe that he lost, or rather that he gained at turn 6 potentially. That was an odd moment to flip to the 4 car, but Benjamin Roberts out to lunch today in a good way. He has driven away from everybody else in this Mustang field, and well, for the rest of the field for that matter. He has got the lead by some 2.6 seconds even after that checkup out of turn 7. I mean, Roberts has these guys covered, and we saw a lot of this speed last week at Suzuka as well. He wasn't necessarily the best car, I don't think, in that race, but he definitely earned that race win, deserved that race win, and he's earning it even more here tonight.
Yeah, I believe this might either be 3 laps to go or 2 laps to go.
That should have been 2 we just took.
Yeah, because it should, I think, don't quote me on it, it'll cycle around to about a minute left when they hit the line, which is not enough time for them to complete 2 more laps in terms of the time limit. But like you said, Andrew, he's walked the field, pretty much taking them to Gapplebee's tonight, still a 3-second lead over Scott Banks, who is trying everything he can to find any way to get up there. A little bit of a run coming out of the hairpin, but going up the hill, that's going to be about 0.2 loss on speed alone as we look here on just a few more Mustangs throughout the field.
Yeah, David Finch put in some pressure here on Eric Schuloff. This is 5th and 6th. So basically, which page of the ticker do you want to be on right here? Of course, you want to be on that first page, as Schuloff is hanging on to that spot over Finch and pulling a bit of a gap as they work down to the Atwood curve and race to see another corner at the very least. That lead not tightening at all. Let's drop back down to the lead in Toyotas because that is tightening. Nicholas Sudik had fallen back for much of this race, was about a second behind Tyler Agostino until now, and these guys are really starting to fight as we've had big problems down with a Mazda and a Mustang. Trevor Roy, remember he was just fighting for second in Mazdas? He's now out of this race.
Yeah, there's a big crash going down into turn 1. A lot of cars involved, a couple of Mazdas, a Mustang or 2. And this is coming out of the final corner, going down the front stretch, Andrew. Everything looks calm and normal. It might be something up in front of them.
Yeah, Tyler Gwynn here looking to the inside of Vanderloon, it looks like. Big contact. Oh my goodness, that swept a big portion of our Toyotas off the racetrack. Gwynn trying to pull away. Yeah, that's not how you want to do that.
That is, in any other racing series, that would be an unsafe rewind, and then just.
Well, that was not Tyler's fault. Yeah, that last hit was not Tyler's fault, but the initial hit there and then moving after the fact certainly were. Was that actually Vanderloon that he hit? I think it was. Hollis, let's see. No, that was 17. That was Louderback. That's right. I recognize the car. Louderback gets hit here by the 30 of Tyler Gwynn. Louderback keeps going, but Gwynn very much does not do the same. Gets stopped here. Here comes that field of Mazdas. Oh my goodness. That took out second and third. That was Trevor Roy and Tom Sanders that just had nowhere to go. Then that last Mazda comes in for that hit.
Just an unfortunate set of circumstances, and I feel bad for those guys who are having a really good battle as the white flag has actually come out, presented by Whiplash Simcams. And Andrew, it's been one heck of a cakewalk up here for these lead Mustangs.
It really has, especially Benjamin Roberts once again. This driver from down under is going to absolutely dominate this race. Maybe not dominate last week, but this I feel like is more of what we're going to expect from this number 4 car the rest of this season. Benjamin Roberts. I thought it was Scott Banks at first. He's got the higher I rating, certainly. But tonight getting shown up by the number 4 car, Benjamin Roberts going to go to victory lane at Okayama. What a win for him. Scott Banks will go second. Kevin Parrish will hang on to the 3rd spot as he comes across the start-finish line in just moments. Meanwhile, a fight for the win down in Toyotas. Agostino and Sudik blocking here down to turn number 8. That could get hairy.
Yeah, they are still side by side rolling through the technical section. It's coming back around. Sudik should be on the inside going into this next corner.
Well played.
That is a very good move to hold him on the outside. And Andrew, it's going to come down to the line.
Yeah, what Agostino didn't consider is holding the inside in turn 8 gives you the outside in turn 9, a much slower and much more pivotal corner because then it puts you on the same side of the racetrack for 10 and 11. And that is... Wait for it. I think the line is down here. Yes, it is. That is a win for Nicholas Sudik once again in class.
these two have been known to put on such a good show, is the lone Renault.
Not
on the
lone.
racetrack.
Lone's still running, we'll say.
Yeah, but Silvera here is going to come across the line, take the win in the Renault class, a clear 9 laps in front of the 32.
Michael Folds, by the way, was tucked in with those Toyotas. He did come across and take his 3rd straight broadcast win here for Production Car Challenge in that Mazda. Several other cars still finishing up their races. There's a Japanese name. I thought it was Japanese. It may still be, and he might just be racing out of the South America Club. Sakayama. Tell me that isn't Japanese sounding at the very least. But regardless, finishing in the 25th spot. Dustin Slider back here in 27th. Tom Sanders. Yep, those guys not completing this race. And Zach, that means we can take a look back at our unofficial results when it's all said and done. I do think these will stay pretty official, considering this is an iRacing official series, but let's take a look nonetheless.
Absolutely. Benjamin Roberts completely dominating this race, leading from flag to flag, a clear 4.5 seconds in front of Scott Banks. Kevin Parrish still holds on to a 3rd place finish after his unfortunate spin from the 2nd place position. David Moore, Eric Schuloff, David Fench, William Barnett, Philip Baumann, and that is rounding out your top 8. And that's just in the Mustang class. Nicholas Sudik and Tyler Augustino round out 9th and 10th for overall, but Sudik, your win in the the Toyota class, with Augustino rounding out in the 2nd position. That's your overall top 10, and we roll through the rest of the field.
Yeah, Christopher Decker back here in the 11th spot. Andrew Perkins, they had a great fight. Perkins coming up just behind. That looks like it would have been a great finish. Michael Folds, there we go, not Andrew Folds, Michael Folds in the 13th spot is your winner in Mazda Miatas. Tom Storr there in the 14th spot, and the rest of your Toyota field for the most part. Storr, Lauterbach, Broen, Brunwyn, Vanderloon all coming across the line. Then you see Silveira winning in the Renault's Ray Lombardi further back, and everybody else to consider throughout the rest of this field, Zach. But a really good night. This really was a great race to have here on the broadcast this evening. And of course, we're going to keep doing this for the balance of the season. In fact, we can take a look at the schedule. A lot of great racetracks coming up, with Okayama crossed off the list. That means Silverstone's up next for the first of its 2 dates, and we're going to the full Silverstone circuit first, which is going to be very, very interesting. We're going to Silverstone twice within 4 weeks. First on the Grand Prix circuit, then again on the national circuit, which I believe is that kind of modified looking Pocono thing. Very, very interesting racetrack that these guys are going to have one heck of a time with. But Silverstone full next week, Grand Prix, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be a different challenge for these guys. We haven't yet been to a completely updated Formula 1 spec course. You could call Suzuka that, I suppose, even though it's well behind on iRacing. Silverstone, though, is caught up. It looks like it does in real life.
Yeah, Silverstone looks amazing on the iRacing sim. I've seen how well they put detail into it. It just looks amazing. I'm excited for Spa. That is going to be, in my opinion at least, one of the better races on the schedule. It's going to be one of those tracks that you really don't want to miss on the broadcast schedule, because seeing those Mustangs, Toyotas, the Mazdas, and the Renaults going up Eau Rouge and into Radeon as well, it's going to give me chills, especially thinking about how much they slide around already. So to think about how they're going to go up that hill, it's going to be really, really scary to think about.
Oh, we've got our friends from the driver's seat joining us already. How about Benjamin Roberts with the race win once again? And Benjamin, there is not enough we could say about you and your performance these last couple of weeks. Big win here to close out our 2-week stint in Japan. How does it feel, and how does it set you up for some big-time success the rest of this week?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm really glad I got that one sort of out of the way. Suzuka struggled a bit, but this was a little bit easier for me. It was pretty calm, sort of after a few laps I was able to get in a rhythm and just keep just enough of a gap, so I wasn't really having to push the whole time.
Well, you might not have had to push the whole time, but you did lead all 15 laps. And, looking at the point standings coming into this evening, it's a little bit odd that, given how strong you've been, you're as far back as you are. Do you have a game plan as far as trying to pull those points up, or is it really just kind of go through the motions, get through these next few weeks, and kind of see where you sort out later on when the drop weeks start coming in?
Yeah, so So Alton Park, I wasn't able to make sort of the higher strength of field races, which probably doesn't help the point standings. But after that, I think I can make all these high strength of field races now. So just got to keep pushing forward and keep being consistent.
And how about Silverstone next week on a full-blown Formula One circuit? I know Suzuka technically is, but it looks so outdated these days that it doesn't even feel like one. Silverstone, though, next week, properly updated, looks great, and it's going to be an interesting challenge for your 4 classes here in Production Car Challenge.
Yeah, it is, and in Silverstone, like Suzuka, it's not one of my strong tracks, so I'm looking more towards sort of later in the season, sort of at other tracks that I know I'm strong at. So hopefully at Silverstone I can just show up and be relatively competitive and just survive.
Well, if you take a look at the production feed actually from the broadcast, we have the schedule up. Is there a particular track from this listing that you feel like you've got to focus on? You know, you can get some wins. I mean, clearly you've already got some wins this season, but is there one track you have circled?
I mean, sort of like the last 3 weeks, I know I'm going to be pretty strong there. So until then, I've just got to try and practice heaps and just work really hard to be fast at the other tracks.
There you go, Benjamin Roberts, our race winner once again this evening. Benjamin, keep it up. We're going to be talking to you a lot more this season, it looks like.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Benjamin Roberts with a win this evening. And I'm going to be honest, Zach, it makes a lot of sense that he's looking forward to the last 3 weeks. Summit Point and Orion Park, they feel somewhat similar. Very fast kind of club level circuits that kind of twist around the landscape, but then Imola kind of sticks in there and it's a little bit different. And of course, Orion Park being in Australia, that's the connection there if I skipped over that. But Imola almost feels a little bit like Sandown. So if he is true to his roots and runs a lot of Australian tracks, it might make a little bit of sense as to why he feels good about those tracks in particular. Again, the closest thing I can liken Imola to, I suppose, would be Sandown. It feels so fast. At some spots, there's walls that kind of close in on you, and just kind of flicks of corners around that course. Definitely still very different, Imola and Sandown, but I think you could make some parallels between them in certain spots as he comes home in this first spot and feels good about the back end of the schedule. He does take this win, by the way, over a Scott Banks, who is not here to talk to us, but Zach, our points leader coming into tonight, is here to talk to you.
Absolutely. Kevin Parrish coming home with a 3rd place finish tonight. And Kevin, I don't mean to put salt into the wound, but I got to ask, what happened with that spin there?
There's really not much to it. Ben was on another level this week, so I was doing anything I could to try to keep up with him, and it eventually bit me.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. You're doing so well running in the 2nd place position, battling very hard with Scott Banks. And did anything happen when it came to tire temps or just how you guys were running your race? I know you two were both fighting real hard, and I was really looking forward to seeing how it was going to end at the end of this race.
Yeah, track temps were warm. I think we were sitting at 110 Fahrenheit. So, yeah, all that pushing just kind of turned the rears into grease, and I just wasn't able to catch it, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate for you, but you still brought it home P3 tonight. It's still a good finish overall. You finished 3rd, and in class you finished 3rd, so you should have, a good points night rolling forward, and I'm sure there's a lot of other races that you'll be running throughout the week to be able to help with your points total for the Mustang class. And really, are you looking forward to any other tracks this season on the schedule? We got a lot of great races coming up.
I haven't really looked ahead on the schedule, but I am happy to put this one behind me. Okayama is not a favorite of mine for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you still did a great job tonight. You brought it home 3rd. You got some solid points tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Silverstone.
Excellent. Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. And Andrew, not one for many words, especially considering, how his race went tonight, but he still did a great job holding on to that 3rd place finish. And, I'm hoping that Kevin Parrish is going to have a lot better of a chance at Silverstone next week.
We'll have to wait and see, but meanwhile, you see kind of the replay going on. Nicholas Sudik taking the race win this evening for the third straight week, at least in this broadcasted split. Nicholas, great job in that battle with Tyler Agostino. For a long time, it seemed like you were almost falling back of his draft where you couldn't draft back up to him, but you used the car brilliantly there late in the race. You drove back. How did you get by him?
Oh man, dude, this was like I was telling Tyler in the session, it was like a real life 8-6 cup like you would see on SRO. Holy crap, we were beating, we were banging. Had to lay a little bit of a crazy move there, send on the outside, try to hold the line in the less preferred groove there in that hairpin. Then had to just hold tight and hope that I can baby the tires enough, and sure enough I did. Tyler has gotten so good in the last 4 weeks here, or 3 weeks here, and then like even the last week last season. So again, huge props to him. My teammate Andrew, as well with Team Watson Racing, finishing 4th. But yeah, Kevin hit the nail on the head earlier too. It was a struggle there with the track temp so high and a low grip circuit already. It was very, very easy to get the temperatures, especially how sensitive the 8.6 is outside of the operating window. And we're 3 for 3. I think we're in the points lead now, at least provisionally. So we keep digging, we keep fighting. Yeah, man, woo! Yes, that was big. That was big.
Clearly pumped up about that race win, as you should be. We've talked a lot with the other two drivers we talked to this evening about future weeks in this series, but let's focus here on week 3. Clearly, you've got an affinity towards Okayama this week, and there's other races coming through the week that may be overcast and cloudy. Do you feel like that's going to play into your hands even more, or are you okay pretty much in any condition? And what's that teamwork like with Team Watson and you and Andrew Perkins going back and forth? How does the data compare between you guys?
I mean, it's really good feedback. So far, Andrew's been very happy with everything. Everything that I've been putting out there and putting out, like I said, to the public on Team Watson Racing setups as well. So we have very similar driving styles, it seems, so it fits very well. You got to be very aggressive, got to be right on that slip angle with this car. And it just fits. It fits very well. Through the week, I'd love to take a crack at a world record. Am I that good here, though? No. Suzuka was a little bit better, but I just didn't have time to run it. But yeah, I might run 1 or 2 more this week. I'm definitely feeling it. But yeah, thanks for mentioning them. The other sponsors, I got Ohio DDR, the Ohio Rhythm Game community, helped me out, support me out a lot. Got Raptis Coffee as well. Check them out. Raptis, RAPTIS Coffee. .com, I believe. Best coffee I've ever had. Best coffee roaster I've ever had. Known the guy for years. Fantastic guy. But yeah, no, I'm so pumped. The schedule is fantastic. I said last week too, I want to make a run up at a podium, if not the title this year. And I mean, Silverstone next. Spa's always a little bit of a wild card because of the compromise you have to make with the setup with this car. VIR, bread and butter course. Nords. I've been running Nords since I was like 10 playing Gran Turismo. So, there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm very happy y'all on Pit Stop TV are bringing it to the folks and building a little bit of a niche crowd here as well to watch.
Absolutely, we're glad to be here, and we did just see that moment again in slow-mo. That fight between you and Agostino through turn 8 and then again through turn 9, and I really felt like he kind of handed you the best spot you could have been in that battle. Going on the inside of 8, of course, gives you the inside for the next 3 corners afterwards. How excited were you to get that outside line in turn 8?
I didn't know if I could hold it. I thought my fronts were dead. His rears were kind of dead, but I felt, just because of how much I was pushing those last couple of laps to stay within, like, the draft range is far for these cars, about 1.5 seconds. To sometimes, depending on the settings, almost 2 seconds, which is kind of crazy. But if you really want to be like effective with it and use that to your advantage, you got to be within about a second, and I was barely clinging on there. I put a lot of trust in him, and I think that's a testament to Tyler there, to Augustino there, with how much trust we have all throughout the top end of the 8-6 field here in the broadcast split, and obviously in the other spots too. I said it in the chat, I'm going to say it here. I'm a little biased, sure, but my God, that last lap, and especially that last half a lap, that's top 10 worthy. I've never been more proud of an overtake, I think, in my 3.5 year iRacing career than that. So I'm glad I got to share that with y'all there. So much love, much appreciated. Thank you all again.
Absolutely, Nicholas. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being such a great part of this series. And I know we'll be talking to you a lot more this season.
Cheers.
Nicholas Sudik with another race win in class, and really, really good job. And I do want to say, we kind of laid in a little bit to Tyler Gwynn and the mistake he made in turn 1, and we didn't go too far, I suppose, but we definitely called him out on a mistake he made. Mistakes happen in racing, and he actually just jumped into the Discord channel here in the Production Car Challenge Discord and apologized for that incident. And it probably won't reach all the drivers that were involved, because I don't think all of them are in that Discord, but it is really cool when a driver acknowledges, hey, something happened. It is also just a mistake. Mistakes happen, Zach. You and I make them daily in life. That just happened to be maybe his one for the day. Maybe he was perfect the rest of the day. I don't know. But that's just part of racing, part of life. It happens. And we move on and learn from that. That's all you can really ask. If you do make a mistake, learn from that. And I think Tyler Gwynn certainly will in that situation. But week 3 behind us as far as the broadcast goes. Of course, these guys keep racing the rest of this week, Zach. But we're kind of moving past Okayama, which again means we focus up to the next challenge on the list. That's Silverstone.
Yeah, I talked up Spa a lot. It's the next track right after Silverstone. But I'm also looking forward to we're going to Silverstone twice. We're going to, the Grand Prix circuit and then the National circuit as well?
Yeah, the National circuit, that's kind of a deformed Pocono in a way. It really is kind of a simple layout with a lot of nuances. I think you could say the same for Willow Springs right afterwards. Those 2 weeks, relatively simple looking layouts, a lot of nuance to each one of them, and then of course you go off to the Nordschleife. That's going to be a whole challenge in and of itself that I don't think I'm ready for as far as camera building, but hey, we'll make it happen.
I'm not ready for the race. I'm really not. You're going to have to build, I don't know how many cameras for that, and then
Too many.
We're going to get maybe 3-4 laps?
3 laps. It's a 3-lap race, yeah. And that's the one race on the schedule that is not a timed race. It is a lapped race. 3 laps. All these guys get, but that does mean they have to turn some 200 corners or something around, how many corners is on the Nordschleife? I got to educate myself for that week. I haven't broadcast the Nordschleife in a long time.
I think it's somewhere around 160. Don't quote me on it.
I know we've just hit a very dull moment briefly on the broadcast. How many corners are there on the Nordschleife?
154.
Jeez. The 450 corners in a lap, in a race, 450 corners, that's a large number.
Well, that's 154 per lap times 3 laps, 462. So you hit the nail almost on the head.
Yeah, that is a large number. I do not envy any of the drivers. Meanwhile, looking ahead this week at Pit Stop TV, got an interesting situation shaping up on Sunday. Now, we initially were slated to broadcast that Long Beach race for the Noble Can-Am Series this past Sunday. That has changed. The Valley Star Credit Union 300 that I was part of the broadcast team for rained out until Sunday yesterday, which was a very, very, very fun day. If you have Flow Sports, go back and watch that. If not, go back and watch the clips on social media. Flow posted a lot of them. That was a really, really good race.
What a race.
Yeah, a lot of great moments between Landon Huffman and Trevor Ward, Peyton Sellers, all of those guys in that regard. We're taking late models then to a road course. Long Beach, as these guys have done all season long on road courses. Going out to a street circuit, though, a little bit different for race number 9, their championship affair, on Sunday, October 1st. Which now, Zach, we just have to hope that North Wilkesboro doesn't rain out this Saturday, as I'll be there for the Tour Mods, NASCAR Women Tour Modified Series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ryan Newman, Bobby Labonte, those guys in that race. But that sets up for a doubleheader. We have Long Beach with late models, then Talladega with NASCAR Cup cars. The Shake and Bake Racing Butt Kicker Cup Series heads out to race 31 of 36. But we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Wednesday evening, next time we're back in action here on Pit Stop TV, it's the UFL Elite Series from Michigan International Speedway. And Zach, we're coming up to the playoff cutoff race, the last race these guys have to either win or point their way into the championship. And I took a look at the standings earlier. Justin Melillo is the last driver currently in by just 2 points. So we're talking about 2 points, 5 points, 7 points, 9 points, the deficits to try and get into the playoffs. It's going to be lights out, literally, because they don't have lights at Michigan. Thankfully, the sun will be up.
Yeah, there was a real shakeup last week if you missed the Brazil race. If you haven't seen it, you would be amiss not to go watch that race. It was a wacky, crazy, outstandingly complicated race, but it still all played out amazingly for a bunch of drivers, and we had a huge upset winner. So I would really suggest you go watch that if you're planning on tuning in Wednesday night, because, well, those playoffs are a real shakeup, and so many great places to check out everything going on here at Pit Stop TV. Facebook.com, Instagram.com, Twitter.com, all / Pit Stop TV, Twitch.com or Twitch.tv, which is the only place at the moment that we do not stream live due to Twitch's regulations. Hopefully that changes sometime in the near future, but as of right now, we're not there. Main place you can watch is youtube.com / Pit Stop TV1, and obviously kick.com / Pit Stop TV1. Andrew, it's been one heck of a night, but I think it's time for us to get out of here.
As they say, it has been real, Zach. Thanks for joining me once again for another week of Production Card Challenge Racing. Next time out, we head to Silverstone. But first, a big thank you to our partners here at Whiplash, not at Whiplash, but at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash, SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business, getting it done for us behind the scenes. And a big mention as well to those who really help us behind the scenes in audio, ATVO, Whiplash, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That'll do it for us at the virtual Okayama International Circuit. Thanks for joining us for this Production Card Challenge broadcast. A big thank you to Barbara Ford for being responsible for making it happen. There we go. We'll bring their graphic back up. And we will see you all next time. It's Silverstone next up for us in the series. But join us Wednesday evening as we head out to Michigan for the UFL Elite Series.
If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today.